Welcome to the Fiberglass Coatings how-to video on tabletop epoxy. Our project is a round fiberglass table with a custom decal already in place. While I explain the preparation we've done in the past, the video is showing a clip of each step of the operation. We want to encapsulate the decal and the tabletop with a shiny clear and scratch-resistant epoxy coating. The table already has one coat of tabletop in place, and most jobs require two coats. The table has already been leveled and the temperature is between 72 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit. On the table we have our heat gun, our mix and measure buckets, the Bust-A-Bubble, the tabletop epoxy itself, both resin and hardener, and the isopropyl alcohol for cleaning. You will also need some rags for wiping and a couple pair of gloves. Also make sure there is paper to protect the floor. The first step, as you can see, Jeff is removing the lid from the isopropyl alcohol and is wiping the table to remove all the fingerprints and traces of grease or dirt. Visually, in your mind, divide the table up into segments and then wipe each segment 3 or 4 times each. This way no areas are missed and each area is hit with a clean rag and alcohol 2 or 3 times. The purpose is to have a clean, homogeneous surface so that no imperfections will be transferred to the surface of the epoxy and to guarantee a good bond. A grease spot might change the surface tension in that area and cause a fisheye or other imperfection. The next step is Jeff marking the containers. First he writes an A and then a liquid level mark. The way he determined how much is needed is by looking on our website under Help and Support and then select Estimating Coverage. There it tells you that you need 1 quart of mixed material for 6 square feet at 1/16 inch thick. Our table is about 14 square feet and 1/16 inch is a good thickness to shoot for in an undammed project, meaning the epoxy can run off the edge. 14 square feet divided by 6 gives us 2.3 quarts. Divided by 2 tells us we need about 1 1/4 quarts, or 40 ounces of part A and 40 ounces of part B tabletop epoxy. So he is marking the measuring cup A at the 40 ounce level, and then he marks the measuring cup B at the 40 ounce level. This way he does not have to do any math once he starts to pour. Correct measuring and ratios are important when working with epoxies. Once everything is set, Jeff pours the part B hardener into the measuring cup. He checks the level and pours it right onto the mark. Next he pours part A, the resin, into the measuring cup, again being very careful to hit the mark. At this juncture, Jeff has decided to put his gloves on. You will see later why that's so important. He pours the measured material into the mixing bucket. Did you see Jeff's hesitation? We have now passed the point of no return. The epoxy is going to harden and we have no ability to stop it. He wipes the sides of the bucket with the stir stick to capture all material possible. Jeff has begun mixing the epoxy. Notice how it starts out kind of cloudy and eventually turns clear. Jeff mixes deliberately and not too quickly in order to limit the amount of air that gets mixed in with the epoxy. You can now see the material is clear again. Now Jeff takes an extra step of pouring the mixture into a new bucket. This eliminated the possibility of using unmixed material from the corners of the first bucket. He mixes the new bucket one final time. Trust me, the most time edited out of this how-to is Jeff mixing. Now you can see Jeff moving to the table and pouring the material as evenly as possible. He then uses his gloved hands to spread the material as evenly as possible, including the edges. Now you can see Jeff changing his gloves before he picks up the heat gun. Jeff looks at the finish on the epoxy and applies heat to areas he thinks needs heat. You can see little mottled areas in the surface. The heat reduces the viscosity and makes it flow and makes it gorgeous. You can see the surface is almost perfect at this point. Now, just for this demonstration, we apply a few spritzes of the Bust-A-Bubble. The Bust-A-Bubble is an alcohol product sold by FGCI, and it can be used in place of the heat gun. It also decreases surface tension and allows the material to flow. Now, the only thing left is to admire the finished product. There we have a complete project. Thank you for trusting Fiberglass Coatings to help with your project.